Everyone, and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be talking about the most common type of error whenever you run your Spring Boot project or when you run your any microservices in your local. So let's go through this error. So you would have seen this common error when you are working in your Spring Boot project and when you are trying to use some external microservices or external APIs. So when you try to import the external project in your current project in order to use their functionalities, like suppose you are currently working on a project where you are receiving the request from user and there you are providing the details. Now in the second project there are some other details where it is doing the validations, like suppose you enter your credentials, username and password, and in the other microservices you are sending these details, and it is doing the backend connectivity and validating all your details whether it is present in DB or not. So that is separate. So in order to use the other functionality you need to import the other functionality in the existing functionalities. So the most common type of error which you see is the to bean exception. So this is just one scenario I explained it. This type of error would have seen in multiple cases, like there were two found but we required a single bean. Okay, so let's go through it through one of the example. So example like this, suppose we created one interface called a sender. Now you know that we know that Spring Boot is commonly known for dependency injection, and one of the common primary usage of it is with one example is we can create one interface and we can start implementing it, and we can use it by using an @autowire configuration. Suppose we created one interface called sender, and we declared one method as a sender, that is to, then subject and a body. It's just like to whom we are sending some mail or messages or any chats. So subject and a body. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to implement that method. Okay, so I can implement this method using some of the implementation. Like suppose I wanted to send this mail as an SMTP K mail, and second type of class I wanted to create as a mock mail. So you can take example as suppose you have one car, and now suppose you want this car to be implemented as BMW or as a Maruti. So just that example, just giving as an example. So this is a common implementation. So there are two functionalities. Now this method, this class is not needed that it would be present in the same class. It can happen that this be present in some different project, and you are trying, in order to use this functionality you are trying to import the package at a component scan level. I think you are aware about the component scan level. If you're not aware, we'll take it in the next video. Like in order to use any project, you have one main class. There at the top we included the package name by @component scan annotations. Okay, so let's go through the main functionality. So in order to use that, we auto-wire it by using the interfaces. Okay, so once you auto-wire it, and you try to run your project and try to use that functionality, like whatever class you wanted to use, and when you try using, you get a basic exception. Okay, and you have tried creating the bean of those, like you have specified, you have provided configuration, and suppose this SMTT mail is in different microservice and this is in different microservice. Okay, and you created the bean of it. Okay, bean means you are creating the own scope of the bean. This scope is different, so these two are totally different scope. They are not in same scope. Okay, so now this SMTT mail will be from different scope when you try to run your package, and this is in the different scope. Okay, so in order when you try to run your project, you get a common error. Okay, and why you get this common error? Because you are trying to call ob.sender. Now it get confused that which needs to be called. In order to resolve that, what we do is we make the bean as a primary, one of the bean as a primary. So in order to avoid this confusion, like which needs to be called, you make a primary. So when you make one bean as a primary, so it will call this specific thing. Okay, so this is the example of two classes in single project. But it can happen that you have one different microservice, there it is defined the mail config, and you are trying to call that. In that scenario also this issue can happen, so you can make that beam as a primary and it will resolve that issue. I hope you like this video and it is very helpful to you, and it's resolved lots of issues which come as a 2 bean exception. So thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe to my channel.